Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday, and welcome back to another episode of the Lady Black Kaleidoscope Project. Yay! Oh my God, I'm so excited. So, this is, we're winding down with the grade 8 against hate. My trusty list here for those who are new to this series. Like, subscribe, join the party. So basically, the Great 8 Against Hate is is 8 C's that I've come up with that I think are essential in becoming truly anti-racist and anti-bias. So let's recap. Let's go through it one more time. It is their courage, commitment, consciousness, curiosity, compassion, conversation, creativity, and community. And today we're going to talk about the last C, the 8th C, and that is community. Woo! I get the feels. I just want to hug it out. Hug it out. So, what is community? Let's look up community with our trusty friend here, Webster's Dictionary and Thesaurus. Yup. We become best friends, me and this. Let's hug it out, me and Webster's. All right. I'm community, so I'm probably going to be hugging myself a lot today because it's about community. And community, you want to hug yourself or hug people. And I could hug the camera. That'd be weird. But, I might just do that. So here's the definition of community. Community there's a long definition because there's multiple definitions for this one word, community. So community, it's a noun, and it's 1, a body of people living in the same place under the same laws. Also, a natural population of plants and animals that interact ecologically and live in one place as a pond, like frogs, like Kermit, like that. 2, society at large. 3, joint ownership. 4, common character, similarity, and likeness. And synonyms for that are correspondence, likeness, parallelism. Why can I not say that word? I can typically say parallelism. Sorry. Resemblance, similarity, similitude. 5, the people with common interests living in a particular area. And 6, a body of persons of common and especially professional interests scattered through a large society. Synonyms for that: cinnamon, synonyms. I got it right. Say that 5 times fast. It's gonna be hard. But anyway, synonyms. There we go. Brotherhood, corps, fellowship, fraternity. And they forgot sorority, but I'm going to put sorority in there. So Webster's, wake up. We're in the 21st century. It's 2020. 100 years since women got the right to vote, or white women got the right to vote. And then we got black women and other women of color got the right to vote. At the Voting Rights Act, which Republicans have just been trying to gut that act. This is terrible. I think that was in 1965. The Voting Rights Act, which gave black women the right to vote and other women of color. They guaranteed that, which they're trying to take away. And they tried to gut that with Citizens United and all this. It's a mess. But everyone, go out and vote. Make your voice heard. Go out and vote. 2020, vote. U.S., people in the U.S. Hopefully, this is seen around the world. U.S., if you're not from America, but you have American friends, make them vote. Make them vote. Because we need this, because we got to change this, because this is a mess. Okay. There we go. So, community. Community kind of brings together everything, the grade 8 plus 8. It brings them all together. These grade 8 brings them all together. And it's important. We need community. You've done all this work. We've, going through this. And ultimately, we want to find like-minded people like you. So we can, and you're doing all this anti-bias, anti-racist work. And so you want to come together and find people that think like you. So you can come together and do do your part and make a change in the world for the better. One of my favorite quotes. This is one of my favorite quotes. We're in this together by ourselves. Lily Tomlin is a really funny lady. True. We're all in this together by ourselves because we are all individuals. We come in by ourselves. We go out by ourselves. So we all have unique gifts and talents and things that we bring to this. We all bring to this. We're all going to go through the great 8+8. We're going to go through all these things very, very differently because we're all different people. We're all going to bring different things to it. And our process of becoming anti-racist and anti-bias is going to be unique because we're all different and we all have different experiences. And that's okay. That's what makes us beautiful. Sometimes you feel like I'm not this enough or I'm not that enough. You are enough, just as you are. You were created, I believe in God, so we were created in his image or her image or whatever it is. God's image. We were created in, their image, in God's image. So I don't know. But anyway, we are all unique and we all bring something to the table. And don't dim your shine. And don't let anyone else dim your shine. One of the greatest things about being in isolation during Corona is like you can work on yourself. Yes, of course, do anti-racist and anti-bias training, go through this process. But also just do it for yourself. Just face the things, those trauma. You have the time. You have this time. I hope people have been doing it. I pray that all the time. People that have been taking this time constructively and really been working on their inner self, because you gotta love you 100% for, you can really love anyone else, because you're gonna be, you're not gonna be perfect, but you need to be at your best self, at whatever point you are in your life. You're not gonna be perfect. It's about excellence, not perfection. So bring your best self. Bring not even your best self. Just bring yourself. Bring your whole self. It's hard. It's tough because you got to be vulnerable. And vulnerability is not the easiest. Definitely read anything or listen to the TED Talk by Brene Brown, Dr. Brene Brown, because she is like the queen of vulnerability and talking about that. So I would definitely suggest reading that and getting comfortable with that, because she talks about the quote with the men in the arena. And I don't even have that quote. Let me see where do I even have. Oh, here it is. This is a great book, Daring Greatly. It's a really good book. So, and she talks with the quote that Theodore Roosevelt says. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. Theodore Roosevelt, one of our really great presidents. So this is a great book. There are other books by Brene Brown about vulnerability, so I would suggest to check that out. But we're all beautiful, and we're all beautiful souls, and we're all kaleidoscopic souls, so we all bring something to it. We are all in this together on Earth, on the battleship Earth, on the spaceship Earth, I don't know, by ourselves. We are all, and just with Corona, we're all in this together by ourselves. We all are doing our little part, whatever it is. Some people are doing huge parts, some people are doing small parts, but, there's no small parts, only small actors. Because the world is a stage. That's what Shakespeare said, and it is. So we all have something to add, all of us. No matter if it's a little bit or big or in the middle, we all have something to contribute. We just bring our full selves to whatever we do. That's what I try to do. Bring my full self. I mean, that's why I'm always like this. Because I don't know, I just have to undulate and do my body like that. Okay. Boom. We are called to be strong companions and clear mirrors to one another, to seek those who reflect with compassion and a keen eye and how we are doing, whether we seem centered or off course. We need the nourishing company of others to create the circle needed for growth, freedom, and healing. Wayne Muller. We're social creatures. We need other people. Sometimes we feel like an island. I know because of Corona, because everything, we literally feel like we are on an island. The island is our house. And some people are on the island by themselves because they live by themselves. I mean, that's why people have gotten pet adoptions have gone up, because we need touch, we need companionship. And so I know some of my friends who are single, they have their pets. And that's what's kept them sane. I know two of my friends who coincidentally are multiracial, and they both have chihuahuas that they adopted, and they're named Lola, which is so hilarious. They both have told me, like, if I did not have my dog, if I did not have Lola, I would have gone insane. I mean, my BFF in my head, he has Cal. I mean, Henry Cowell, that's my BFF in my head. If you're new to this. So, like, we need companionship. And, like, that's what's the great thing. I mean, even if you are by yourself, that's why we have the internet. It's great to have the internet and social media and have those connections and just the phone and everything like that. We need people. We are social creatures. We desire connection. So it's really important to be those strong companions and clear mirrors to each other. I mean, that's the great thing about being in relationship. It's one of the greatest gifts that we have on earth, is to be in relationship with someone, to really be in fellowship with a group of people, but also in relationship with another person, because you really can see your weaknesses and your strengths through that other person. I mean, a lot of times, like, when, a lot of times with projection, a lot of things that, like, you don't like about you, like, you see a trait that you don't like about people, you have to check yourself, because you may have that trait. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't like know-it-alls, but then I look at myself and I'm like, maybe I could be a bit of a know-it-all sometimes, I mean, that's me personally. But it's like, it's good to have those reflections to reflect back to you, to see where you need to, get better and get stronger and stuff. And then also to celebrate yourself. It's like, I like to be around people who are dynamic and interesting and outgoing, like myself, because I feed off that, and we feed off each other. So it's important to have those people. We need people in our life. We need friends in our life. We need people that we can, friendships can change the world. I mean, look at the Beatles, John and Paul. John met Paul July 6, 1957 at, like, the Wooten Garden Village Fete in Liverpool. And it changed the world. They changed the world. That friendship, and then bringing George in. Paul brought George in, and then Ringo came along. And those it was four friends, and they changed the world with their music and just their love for each other. And it was a symbiotic relationship, and there were other people along the way, like their manager, Brian Epstein, and then their producer, George Martin, and they just all kind of came together. And the Beatles changed the world. And they're my favorite band. They changed my world. I can tell you that. That's in a previous episode where I talk about my love for the Beatles, and how they changed my life. So it's important to find those people. Find your tribe. I'm still looking for my tribe. I've picked people along the way, and my friends tend to not be friends with each other because they're just all so different, and they're from different groups. But it's important to, like, expand. I know after 30, it's really hard to meet new people because of the way things are, but meet new people from a different background. You can learn so much, and it's just fun. I get a high off of meeting new people. I just love it. It's always like, oh, it's another thing that I get to learn. I get to, like, study this person and look at this person. And then sometimes, like in my case, in the last few months, like, I've had people, Lazarus has come back from the dead, and, like, I'm like, wow, we've been able to connect and reconnect. That's another great thing about life. Some people that you thought the relationship was dead or over or whatever, and then they come back and they've changed, you've changed, and you come together. And so that's beautiful. community is so beautiful. Friendships and communities and stuff, it's good to have your group, but it's also good to expand. I was a floater growing up because I never really found my tribe. So I just like went from one person to another. But I'm so rich because of that. I think all those people have touched my life in some profound way. So it's really important to have those relationships and to be open to that and be those modes of compassion and show that. Because it's great. Especially when you're doing this work with, anti-racist, anti-bias. It's lonely. It's hard work because a lot of it's internal. But it's good to know that you're not alone in doing the work of anti-racism and anti-bias. It's good to know that you're not alone. It's good to also I think white people, you need to understand that people of color, we need our own spaces sometimes. We don't always want to. We love you, we think you're great, but we need spaces for ourselves, just as you need spaces for yourself. Because I think in a lot of ways, white people are the most effective people to turn other white people into being anti-racist and anti-bias. There's stuff, we can tell you our stories, we can say these things, you can see things by people of color, the creativity, the things, art, media, things that talk, our stories, telling our stories. But there's something that you as a white person can do uniquely to get other white people on your side, because the onus is always on white people to join the party, the anti-racist, anti-bias party, particularly the anti-racist party. It's on you. The invitation is here, but it's up to you to come, and you need to bring your other white friends too. So there's something to have different spaces, like spaces for people, because sometimes we just want to breathe, because it's hard having relationships with white people as a person of color. It's hard. It's not that it's not rewarding and it can't be fun, but it is, because of race, it does make things kind of sometimes. Sometimes we need to retreat. And I guess, for a lot of white people, most white people have, the statistic, as I said, 91% of white people's friends are white. So you're surrounded by white people all the time, but use that time with your white friends to talk to them about anti-racist and anti-bias, which I know a lot of my peers are doing right now. I know probably a lot of people in this country and around the world are talking to their white peers, family members, friends, talking about anti-racist, anti-bias stuff, Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, all that stuff. But we need that space too to talk to each other, whether it's our own community of color, whether it's just blacks talking to blacks, or Latinx talking to Latinx, but then also us as communities of color kind of coming together and talking about the united front that we need to present as people of color. I think that's really important. So there is a need for spaces for people of color to talk about things like that. I know we need white allies, we need that, but please don't take offense, white allies and white friends, if we just want to be just with our own people of color, because we have that shared experience. Just like as you have your shared experiences with white people, we have some shared experiences with people of color, and specifically within our own ethnic racial groups, we have our own experiences. So don't take offense at it, white people, because I know some white people are like, oh, there's the title of the book is "Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in a Cafeteria?" Because we just sometimes we just need to breathe and have someone who understands our experience firsthand. Everyone's experience is unique, but there's something that, for me, having another person of color, it's you just have this unspoken understanding, I get it, I get it, and that's important. So, don't take offense to that, white people. Because you have that with yourselves. You guys don't talk about, a lot of white people don't talk about race, which you need to talk about. That's why, White Fragility, the book by Robin DiAngelo, who's a sociologist, white sociologist, is selling off the charts, because white people need to talk about it. They need to talk about it with each other, and they need to realize that whiteness is a thing. It is a thing, because for people of color, we know whiteness is a thing, because the whole world is centered around whiteness, and that is starting to change because times are changing and people need to evolve with that. So it's important to have those people, those mirrors, whatever color they are, but it's important to have those mirrors to reflect off you, whether they're, in some cases, it's going to be people of color. In other cases, it's going to be white people. Sometimes it's going to be your same, meaning it's going to be, I'm just talking about it from my perspective as a black woman, but sometimes it's going to be people of the same race as you, and sometimes it's going to be people of the opposite race as you. But you need both. You do need both. You shouldn't have to choose, because I never choose. I was a floater. I never chose. I always chose everybody. Whoever I got along with and they got along with me, I didn't care what color you were, and I still don't. But there is something to be said of having people of your own race, and there's something to be said of having people of a different race as your friends, as your community. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead, Barnard College of 1923. That was almost 100 years ago. All right, I got to pause about Barnard. Barnard, for me, was an incredible life-changing experience. It was just, after my high school, after my K to 12 years, or my first 12 years of private school, first grade through 12th grade, being in predominantly white institutions, private Catholic schools, two of them, where I felt like an outsider, and I've talked about that in other episodes of my show, this show. It was nice going to Barnard, because Barnard was the first time I really felt like I was part of a sisterhood. There were so many just passionate, like insightful, like, just fun and sophisticated and quirky and like ridiculously intelligent. Just being around women who share the same values as me. I mean, we were all getting an education, but it was just being in that community. That was the first time I ever felt like I was in community. It's probably the only time in my life thus far that I really felt like I was in community with a group of women, or just with a group of people, period. I've always felt like I was on the outside. But at Barnard, I didn't feel that way. I felt like my voice was heard, and that I mattered, and that I was seen, and that was heard from my individual interactions, but on a bigger interaction as well. It wasn't a perfect experience, but it definitely showed me that sisterhood is possible. Everybody has different experiences, but for me, Barnard was like it. It was an incredible experience, and I loved it. So I had to use a quote from a Barnard alum, and she's from Philly. She was born and raised in Philly, which is awesome. Margaret Mead is a cultural anthropologist, just in case you didn't know. She was incredible. A really groundbreaking cultural anthropologist. And she got her master's she got her BA, and then got her master's and her PhD from Columbia across the street. So Margaret Mead, amazing. Philly girl, what? EHL 215. And a shout out to all my Barnard girls out there, especially my classmates, BC 05, 2005. What? It was amazing. Great experience. I loved it. Okay, so when it comes to just community with women and sisterhood, it's so important. As a woman, it's not me uplifting women and being a black feminist and uplifting women of color and black women does not mean I hate men and hate all men. I love men. My BFF in my head, Henry Cavill, is a white British male. Like, I love him. He's amazing. But like, and a lot of my best friends growing up were white men, so, and they, I've had a lot of really great experience. For me, I've had a lot of great experiences with white men. So I love men in general. They're great. We need them. We need that balance. We all need each other. We're all part of the human race. So me being a black feminist does not take away from someone's manhood. Right? It doesn't do that. So that's important. So an example of an organization that is really doing the work of really building women of color, because I'm going to focus on that because I'm a woman of color and I want to build my own people who are like me and look like me up. So a great organization that does that is She the People. It's founded by Amy Allison. So She the People is a political, cultural organization, mainly political organization, that was founded by Amy Allison. And I have something from the website that she writes in a letter, so I'm going to read it for you. She the People began with a dream to write the first book about women of color in politics. For 3 years, I studied the data and interviewed women of color organizers, strategists, and leaders across the country. The legacy of women of color is the greatest untold political story in America. I witnessed firsthand the political power, savvy, and brilliance of women of color candidates, organizers, and strategists when I was president of Democracy in Color. Women of color transformed the political landscape of Georgia, and Black women led a winning coalition for an Alabama special Senate election. That was in 2018 or 19. Women of color are embodying political excellence all across the country. Well, we're embodying excellence, period. This is a political organization, so that's why she's saying that. I found it's she, the people, from the conviction that we need to lift each other up. Amen. We need to create spaces where we can talk to each other. Amen again. And unite in the common cause of justice. Amen 3 times. Amen, amen, amen. Our leadership has inspired magazine covers, game-changing news stories, and winning hashtags. And our work speaks to the deep need for our courage and vision in our movements. Our journey is just starting. I mean, it's amazing. So it brings together a national coalition of women of color, voters, organizers, movement builders, elected leaders, and they want to transform the democracy. We need it because we have been the most steady block, particularly in the Democratic Party. Black women have held that party. We've held that party up. We have voted consistently. We have voted with passion and vigor. We get other people to vote. That's why this Kamala becoming vice president is huge. It's huge for Black women, for Indian women, for other women of color. It's just a huge celebration for us because we have worked so hard. Started with the work of Shirley Chisholm running for president in 1972. I mean, amazing. And so many other nameless women and so many other women who have died and given their lives and have just fought alongside. I mean, people in the civil rights movement, Ella Baker, Fannie Lou Hamer, just so many amazing women of color. Black women. I have, of course, a special, thing for Black women because I'm a Black woman. So there's been so many amazing women who do that. And She the People is this incredible organization. It's on shethepeople.org. And they do incredible things. And so it's important to, as women of color, we need to galvanize, come together because we have been taken for granted for way too long. But I think this is our moment, particularly for Black women. This is our moment. This is incredible. I mean, it's such a wonderful time to be a Black woman. I've always been, my parents, my mom, my grandma always taught me to be proud of being a Black woman and buying me books and everything like that and just showing me and just their lives, just them themselves were such incredible examples are still, because my mom is still alive. My grandmother passed in 2008, but they're such incredible examples of just resilience and strength and humor and creativity and faith and spirituality and just perseverance. Oh my God, both just perseverance, just amazing. I have such an incredible example. And so, I've always was raised with confidence in myself and pride in who I was as a Black woman because of them. They taught me that and they themselves were the lesson themselves. So I'm so proud to be a Black woman and such an incredible time. We're coming. It's our time, ladies. It's our time. Ladies first. Queen Latifah. Ladies first. Ladies first. Yes. It's our time. Because we have been at the bottom. We have held, I think it's Alice Walker or Zora Neale Hurston said that Black women are the mule of the world. We have been holding everybody else up, and now it's our time to shine, and it's great. And when Black women rise, everyone else rises. So don't forget that. Raising us and raising our voices, we've raised our own voices for a long time, but everyone else is starting to join the party, which is great. And other women of color have definitely been with us too, and we're raising other women of color. I always try to raise other women of color's voices up because we're kind of in this together as women of color because we deal with racism and sexism. So, yes. So She the People, incredible organization. Look it up, join it. Awesome. Because our voices need to be heard. Vote, 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 vote. People died. One time, I was in like when I was younger, I wasn't going to vote. My mom's like, "Are you serious? People died, so you can vote. So vote." So I have to vote, or I'll get disowned from my mom, from my family. I will get caught off the family tree. I do it because I want to make my voice heard, but there's also that little thing because I don't want to be cut off from my family because I love my family. I heart you guys. Anyway, so finally, I'm going to end like I always end with a poem. This is a long one by Langston Hughes. He was a Columbia dropout, so I guess this is Barnard Columbia Day, because every day is Barnard Columbia Day in my world. What? BC? See you? What? Okay. This is called Freedom's Plow. When a man starts out with nothing, when a man starts out with his hands, empty but clean, when a man starts out to build his world, he starts first with himself and the faith that is in his heart, the strength there, the will there to build. First, in the heart is the dream. Then the mind starts seeking away. His eyes look out on the world, on the great wooded world, on the rich soil of the world, on the rivers of the world. The eyes see their materials for building, see the difficulties too, and the obstacles. The hand seeks the tools to cut the wood, to till the soil, and harness the power of the waters. Then the hand seeks other hands to help, a community of hands to help. Thus the dream becomes not one man's dream alone, but a community dream. Not my dream alone, but our dream. Not my world alone, but your world and my world, belonging to all the hands who build. A long time ago, but not too long ago, ships came from across the sea, bringing pilgrims and prayer makers, adventurers and booty seekers, free men and indentured servants, slave men and slave masters, all new, to a new world, America. With billowing sails, the galleons came, bringing men and dreams, women and dreams. In little bands together, heart reaching out to heart, hand reaching out to hand, they began to build our land. Some were free hands, seeking a greater freedom. Some were indentured hands, hoping to find their freedom. Some were slave hands, guarding in their hearts the seed of freedom. But the word there always, freedom. Down into the earth went the plow in the free hands and the slave hands, in the indentured hands and adventurous hands. Turning the rich soil went the plow in many hands that planted and harvested the food that fed and the cotton that clothed America. Clang against the trees went the axe in many hands that hewed and shaped the rooftops of America. Splashed into the rivers and the seas went the boat hulls that moved and transported America. Crack went the whips that drove the horses across the plains of America. Free hand and slave hands, indentured hands, adventurous hands, white hands and black hands, held the plow handles, axe handles, hammer handles, launched the boats and whipped the horses that fed and housed and moved America. Thus, together through labor, all these hands made America. Labor. Out of labor came the villages out and the towns that grew to cities. Labor. Out of labor came the rowboats and the sailboats and the steamboats. Came the wagons, stagecoaches. Out of labor came the factories, came the foundries, came the railroads, came the marts and markets, shops and stores, came the mighty product, molded, manufactured, sold in shops, piled in warehouses, shipped the wide world over. Out of labor, the white hands and black hands, came the dream, the strength, the will, and the way to build America. Now it is me here, you there. Now it's Manhattan, Chicago, Seattle, New Orleans, Boston, and El Paso. Now it's the USA. A long time ago, but not too long ago, a man said, all men are created equal, endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. Among these, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. His name was Jefferson. There were slaves then, but in their hearts the slaves believed him too, and silently took for granted that what he said was also meant for them. It was a long time ago, but not so long ago, that Lincoln said, no man is good enough to govern another man without that other's consent. There were slaves then too, but in their heart the slave knew what he said must be meant for every human being, else it had no meaning for anyone. Then a man said, better to die free than to live slaves. He was a colored man who had been a slave but had ran away to freedom. And the slaves knew what Frederick Douglass said was true, what John Brown and ferry, Negroes died. John Brown was hung. Before the Civil War, days were dark, and no one knew for sure when freedom would triumph, or if it would, thought some. But others knew it had to triumph. In those dark days of slavery, guiding in their hearts the seed of freedom, the slaves made up a song. Keep your hand on the plow, hold on. That song meant just what it said. Hold on, freedom will come. Keep your hand on the plow, hold on. Out of war it came, bloody and terrible, but it came. Some there were, as always, who doubted that the war would end right, that the slaves would be free, or that the Union would stand. But now we know how it came out. Out of the darkest days for a people and a nation, we know how it came out. There was light when the battle clouds rolled away. There was a great wooded land, and men united as a nation. America is a dream. The poet says it was promises. The people say it is promises that will come true. The people do not always say things out loud, nor write them on paper. The people often hold great thoughts in their deepest hearts, and sometimes only begrudgingly express them, haltingly and stumbling say them, and faultily put them into practice. The people do not always understand each other, but there is, somewhere there, and always the trying to understand, and the trying to say, you are a man, together we are building our land. America! Land created in common, dream nourished in common. Keep your hand on the plow. Plow on. No, hold on. If the house is not yet finished, don't be discouraged, builder. If the fight is not yet won, don't be weary, soldier. The plan and the pattern is here, woven from the beginning into the warp and woof of America. All men are created equal. No man is good enough to govern another man without that other's consent. Better die free than live slaves. Who said those things? Americans. Who own those words? America. Who is America? You. Me. We are America. To the enemy who would conquer us from without, we say no. To the enemy who would divide and conquer us from within, we say no. Freedom, brotherhood, democracy. To the enemies of all those great words, we say no. A long time ago, an enslaved people headed towards freedom made up a song, keep your hands on the plow, hold on. That plow plowed a new furrow across the field of history, and into that furrow the freedom seed was dropped. From that seed, a tree grew, is growing, will ever grow. That tree is for everybody, for all America, for all the world. May its branches spread and its shelter grow until all races and all people know its shade. Keep your hand on the plow. Hold on. Mic drop. Langston Hughes. We're all in this together by ourselves. Bring your best self. You're not alone. Even if you might feel alone, you're not alone. We are all in this together. To get through this virus, to get through this election, to just get through 2020, get through this year. We're all in this together. By ourselves. By our awesome individual kaleidoscopic selves. So we're in this together. Remember that. Remember that. Remember that. So, remember. Keep on keeping on. Live out loud and embrace your kaleidoscope soul. Bye, everyone. Bye.